You're sitting at your desk, just another normal day. Nothing special, nothing memorable. And then, your fingers start tapping, not because you decided to, but because there's a rhythm stuck somewhere in your head. You don't even remember the full song, just that it keeps looping, and you can't turn it off. But here's the strange part. You think you like that song, but what if you never actually chose it? Most people believe a song becomes catchy because it sounds good, or because the melody is beautiful, or maybe just simple. And sure, that sounds reasonable, but if that were true, then every simple song should be a hit. And clearly, that's not what happens. There are thousands of simple songs, but only a few actually stay in your head. So the answer isn't just that a song is good. It's something deeper. It's about how your brain processes it. But this is where things start to get interesting, because it turns out you're not even the first part of your body that reacts to music. Before you decide whether a song is good or bad, your body has already made a move. This is called motor entrainment. In simple terms, your body syncs to rhythm automatically. You nod your head, you tap your foot. Sometimes you don't even notice you're doing it. And here's the key detail. This happens before conscious thought. Your brain hasn't judged the song yet, but your body is already locked in. That's why some songs feel catchy before you even understand what you're hearing. But if rhythm alone were enough, then every beat would hook you the same way. And obviously, it doesn't. So what separates a normal rhythm from one that pulls you in instantly? Your brain is incredibly efficient. It's always trying to conserve energy. So anything that's easy to process feels better. This is called processing fluency. A familiar melody, a predictable structure, a clear rhythm, all of these make your brain work less. And when your brain works less, it labels the experience as good. But here's the detail most people miss. If something is too predictable, your brain gets bored. If it's too complex, your brain checks out. Catchy doesn't live in simplicity. It lives in a very narrow space between comfort and challenge. So what actually happens in that space? When you listen to music, you're not just hearing it, you're predicting it. Every note you hear helps your brain guess the next one. If the song follows your expectations, it feels stable. If it breaks them too much, it feels wrong. But if it bends them just a little, you pay attention. That's the moment your brain goes, wait, something's off, but I like it. Hit songs aren't perfectly predictable. They introduce small violations. A note arrives slightly late. A drop delays just enough. A chord shifts in an unexpected way. You don't consciously notice it, but your brain does, and it holds on. But here's the problem. You can't keep someone hooked with surprise alone, because surprise fades quickly. So what keeps you listening? We tend to think repetition is boring, but in music, repetition is what keeps you anchored. There's just one catch. If something repeats exactly the same way, your brain stops paying attention. There's nothing new to process. This is where great producers get extremely precise. They repeat the chorus, but each time, they change something small. A new harmony, an added layer, a subtle vocal variation. The changes are small enough that you don't consciously notice them, but big enough that your brain stays engaged. You end up in a strange state. Everything feels familiar, but never identical. But here's the part that gets even more interesting. Even though you hear the whole song, your brain doesn't store all of it. It only keeps a fragment. You might listen to a 3-minute song, but what you remember is just a few seconds. That's the hook. Your brain doesn't store music as a continuous stream. It compresses it into chunks. This is called chunking. A strong hook is a complete unit. Melody, rhythm, lyrics, combined into a single package, almost like a word in a language. That's why you can instantly recall, but not the entire verse around it. The hook doesn't need to be complex. It needs to be compact enough to store. But this raises a bigger question. Why are so many modern hooks starting to feel similar? In the past, hits were shaped by radio. Today, they're shaped by data. Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, they all track one thing. Do you stay or do you leave? If you skip in the first 10 seconds, the song loses. If you replay a section, that section gets rewarded. Over time, the system learns which moments hold attention, how long a hook should last, when it should appear, and artists adapt. No one announces it, but everyone feels it. Music is no longer shaped only by human taste. It's shaped by systems that optimize for attention, and you can see this most clearly when you look at real songs. Take Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. Right from the start, steady, driving rhythm, your body locks in immediately. The melody feels familiar because it borrows from 80s synth pop patterns. Your brain processes it easily, but then the drop arrives slightly later than expected. A small deviation, just enough to pull your attention. The chorus repeats, but each time, it builds. More layers, more energy, and the hook, short, tight, easy to store. The result, not just a hit, a global phenomenon, not because it's complex, but because it's perfectly aligned with how your brain works. But not every hit plays it safe. Now look at Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. Minimal beat, almost empty. But that emptiness creates space for prediction. The bass line feels slightly off. It doesn't follow standard pop expectations. Her vocals are almost whispered, closer to speech than singing. The hook is incredibly short, almost just a phrase. And then, the song completely shifts at the end. A hard break from everything before. That's a bold violation, and it works. Because instead of comfort, it hooks you through uncertainty. You keep listening because you can't predict what's next. This isn't about being easy. It's about controlling expectation. You think you choose the songs you like. You think your taste is personal, but the reality might surprise you. You're responding to the way your body syncs with rhythm, the way your brain predicts and gets disrupted, the way your memory compresses sound, and the way algorithms filter what reaches you. You're not just listening to music, you're inside a system designed to hold your attention. Maybe the perfect song isn't the one you love the most. Maybe it's the one your brain simply can't let go of.